Welcome back to Sunrise Radio. We're still on this minor matter. We've got Salisu Mohammed, a financial analyst, a former banker. He's been in public service for about 8 years, and then he also speaking up on this matter. Thank you for coming on this morning. You heard the previous guests speaking about some of this, and it speaks to some of the challenges that we do have in civil service. But you were a former banker, and many will say, look, some of these funds actually go through the banks. Is it as bad that both the civil service, the banks, all these things going on without somebody blowing a whistle somewhere?
Well, thank you for having me. First of all, on this issue of Mr. Abdulrasheed Maina, yes, let me just say brief. He came on board, I think, in 2010, yes. And before that time, we had a lot of pension accounts within, spread all around. So all of a sudden, when he came on board, he was able to really reorganize the system. And that was really when everybody knew there was like a new sheriff in town. And what do I mean? He collapsed all pension accounts, and I think they streamlined the number of banks that they use. Now, even payments, schedules were sent regularly. You make these payments and all. And I think it really made the process easier, for people to be able to access funds. So what it just meant was pensioners had to open accounts with their individual banks. The miners' office sends us the schedules, and we make these payments as at when due. So he really brought sanity to the system, and it's something that I think he should be commended for. It's unfortunate what we're all hearing now, but from the perspective of where we as the bankers, and in terms of the process they put in place, and in terms of how it was implemented, I would say up until when everything started to go south, it was going well. It was going well, yes.
What was going well exactly? The systems that were in place to ensure that funds meant for pensioners don't get frittered away?
Yes. In terms of what is giving to us, what is allocated to, for instance, in your bank, and then schedules that are brought for the pensioners who have dedicated accounts in places. So it's just for you to now implement those payments. It became a more organized structure. Because like I said before, you could have like probably so many banks accounts in so many places, not knowing this or where money is. But when he came on board, he crashed it. And I know he even reduced the number of banks, because I give you an example. He had a meeting. I think the first meeting I remember we attended, where he now announced that, look, we're going to now send you letters that would now collapse all these banks, and we can't use all the banks that we're using for these things, because they wanted to get the best banks that could actually do this. And when I say the best banks, I'm talking of in terms of spread, in terms of IT software, and of course in terms of service delivery, and that's how the system became, I would say, let me use the word, better than it was before in terms of making payments to pensioners.
What about in
and I think it made it more organized, yes.
What about in terms of managing the appropriation, the budget appropriations, the pensions that are appropriated for either the police or the other agencies, the head of service, the office of the head of service? Can those monies be traced? I mean, before they're actually released to the various pensioners, can those monies be traced?
Well, for monies, you see, for the banks, how it works is whatever is given to you, what you have is what you pay out. So for instance, example, if you have like 100 million and then they send a schedule to you with maybe a number of names that you're supposed to make these payments to, you implement. So the issue of knowing if monies are paying out or to anything else other than this, I would say did not happen from probably the end of where we were sitting. as in my own organization that I was representing then. You know, it was just you have an account, monies are paid into it for these payments, you understand, and then they give you schedules and you wire these monies to various accounts across the country. So it was, we from our own angle cannot really know what monies were made for this, because it's not like they would tell you this is for police pensions, this is for this is for that.
Okay,
no,
just give us a minute. We need to go to a break. We'll be back with you in just a moment. Join us again.